Hey YouTube, it's Mixie Tarot. So yesterday I did a reading on my coffee cup because I saw that there was going to be a future march in Washington. And for those of you who saw the video, you saw that my very first card I got was the teacher card. The teacher card. So I wasn't really sure why I was getting that card. It just didn't make sense to me. How does a march coincide with the teacher? And um, I mentioned that in the picture, she's reading the book, The Bridge Called My Back. Now, this is a real book. Now, this, and I looked it up today, I was like, The Bridge Called My Back. Maybe a lot of you have read this book. I haven't. I didn't really know about it, but this book was written by radical women of color. I believe that the reason why I got this card, and it was the very first card to come out in the read, is that the march that I think is going to happen in the future is going to be led by a radical woman. I think that this radical woman is either a student who is probably studying gender studies, feminism, or her studies are along those lines, sociology. I believe that her political ideas would be considered as radical. I believe that the organizations that she probably belongs to have radical ideas. And when I say radical, I don't mean that they're going to try to harm people. It's not a terrorist group or anything like that. But I do believe that her ideas would be considered radical because um, it's not the ideas of what people consider to be the norm, consider to be normal. So I looked up that particular book, and like I said, The Bridge They Call My Back is Radical Works by Women of Color. And the other book I saw was Borderlands. And this is also a real book that is evidently a mix of writings between Spanish and English about uh, the cultural experience of someone of Latino descent. I don't know what the political correct term to use is. I said Latino. Maybe some people don't like that. Spanish descent, Spanish speaking descent. So I hope I didn't offend anybody. So I figured I wanted to see if there is going to be a radical woman, probably a woman of color. Actually, you know what? I forgot to mention this. So I did a small little meditation. I prayed and then I did a small meditation and I was asking to see if they could give me more information about this woman this radical woman. And I got a bear claw. So I'm not sure if this woman is of Native American descent or if she has Native American heritage, or if the bear claw just means that this woman don't play. She speaks her mind, people listen, and in the past, like in the 60s, when you had Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, all of these great leaders who stood up to the government's to the government and the inequalities in this country, they're closely watched by the government. And those people were made examples of this is what can happen to you if you speak out on the inequalities in this country. As we all know, Malcolm X was murdered, and as we all know, Martin Luther King was murdered. That's just to name two of them. So I just want to do a read to see if I'm right that this possible march that's going to happen in the future, if it's going to be led by a radical woman of color, or if this woman, she still would be considered a woman of color possibly, if this woman is of indigenous descent, is Native American, has is a part of a nation. So with that being said, I'm sorry if I fumble for my words. I'm usually trying to find the right words. I try to censor myself because I don't want to offend anyone. Um, um, but with that being said, I'm going to do a reading on the radical woman. So I'm going to be using the New Era Elements, the Next World Tarot, and possibly my gypsy oracles, but I don't know, some in another deck might call to me. But listen, look, the other thing that I wanted to say was the message that I got was yesterday I said that Donald Trump's hateful words have been evoking the courage for people who belong to organizations like the KKK or other white supremacist groups to express their disdain for people of color, or in their minds, when Donald Trump says "Make America Great Again," that means that make America more white, to lessen the number of people of color coming into this country, or some people would say the browning of America. With that being said, scales have always got to be balanced. So, the same way that his hateful words have evoked whatever feelings these white supremacist groups have, on the other end of the spectrum, you have people who are being awakened as well by his words to fight against these white supremacist groups who are spewing hate. Even though the ideas of these radical groups, or radical people, or radical women of color, feminists, no matter what your walk of life is, whether you're gay, straight, black, white, Asian, Native American, white, it doesn't matter. Um, it's going to evoke emotions in this group as well. That is the balance. You have those who take the hate that Donald Trump is spewing to harm people, yet those same words that he's spewing is awakening the spirit within those people who want to fight against the hate, who love the earth, who love people, who embrace all people. It's awakening the spirit in those people as well. And those people will rise up and they will speak out and they will be heard. And their ideas may be radical to some, but it makes sense to a lot of others. That is the balance. So that's what I'm going to read on today, that other end of the spectrum, and possibly, and not possibly, definitely this radical woman that I think is going to lead. I'm going to take the card out actually, because I don't want it to come up. I'm going to leave it out so that we know that that's what we're reading on, and see what cards we can get on her. Thank you, God, for always loving us, protecting us, and loving us unconditionally. I ask your permission to bring forth any messages regarding this radical woman. 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 Any messages regarding this radical woman who may lead a march on Washington. Any Any messages regarding this radical woman who made it a march on Washington? Show us the radical woman. 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 Okay, the first card that I get out is the Ten of Cups. Now, this card came out yesterday as well. But remember, this reading is about the radical woman. Now, this is what I'm thinking as far as this woman goes. This woman grew up in poverty. She grew up in a poor neighborhood. She was probably raised by her mom. Everything in a loving home. Just because her neighborhood wasn't the greatest, or maybe she didn't have the presence of her father figure in the house, it doesn't matter. She was still loved. She grew up in a loving home. Now, with that being said, the reason that she incarnated into this family and lived in this neighborhood, everything that she saw as a child impacted her to mold her into the woman that she was going to become. That's what I'm getting with this card. Okay. The next card up is the King of Swords, the Throne of Knowledge. So this young lady is, don't look at this as far as gender. It says the King of Swords and the Throne of Knowledge. I'm going to show the card to you. Don't look at the gender of the person, okay? This woman is very strong. She's highly educated, very smart, very well read. That's something that started when she was a young child. It was something that her mother instilled in her at a very young age. When her mother saw injustices, or if injustices happened to her mother sat her down and explained it to her. She showed her what the system was really like. The justice that we hear about is not for everybody. So she's very well read, she's very knowledgeable, and she puts her words and her knowledge into action. Okay, the next card out is the Fool. So her spirit has been awakened, that she's been activated. Her journey, this is the beginning of her journey. It starts now. And in this picture, you see her pretty much, you see the person, don't think of the gender because it's a guy in this picture. You see this person sitting on a bench, and it says Yonkers, but it's crossed out, and there's the word, you can either interpret it as nowhere, now here, or now where, however you want to put it. So right now, she's just, her journey is just beginning. She's just starting to activate. She's just starting to organize with whatever organizations she's involved with. She's just starting to put it together. She's just starting the journey. And that's what I feel from this card, the Fool card. Okay, so the Nine of Cups is the next card that I have, and it says happiness. Now, this is in the past position. So I think that this young person, the life before she was activated, she probably partied a lot. That's what I'm getting from this. She probably drank a lot. She loved the to have fun. She loved to have a good time. I'm going to show the card to you. That's what I'm getting from this card, but it's in the past position. It wouldn't surprise me if in the past this woman got in trouble with the law. Nothing major. Um, Nothing major. Okay, the next card I have is the moon. Now, with this card, I am, as we all know, the moon card usually says there are secrets. Yes, there are probably things from her past that she would much rather keep hidden. But I think that, like I said, when she was a child, everything that she saw, the life that she incarnated into was to teach her the lessons that she would need in order for her to take the journey that she's supposed to take. Yes, she partied, possibly. She had fun, when she was much younger, but there came a point where she had to stop and go within and think about the things that she may have done in the past, the decisions that she may have made, and think about where she's going in the future. There came a point in her life where, and she could have even lost her mother. And that could have been what actually, I don't know why I said that. I feel like, I don't know, she was alone. There came a point in her life where she felt completely alone and she had no choice but to be with herself and to think about her decisions in the past and how she was going to move forward in the future. Okay. The next card that I have is the Nine of Pentacles. The Nine of Pentacles, self-sufficiency. So yes, that makes sense to me. What it says, self-sufficiency, because there came a point in her life where she was alone and she had no one to rely on. She had to learn how to rely on herself and to take care of herself. She may have taken odd jobs here and there, maybe having one or two jobs, maybe even three jobs in order to make ends meet. She is artistic. I wouldn't be surprised if she's a musician, but I feel like she's probably a painter. She is probably a visual artist. I'm seeing here that and possibly she also writes like essays. So self-sufficiency, she had to learn how to be self-sufficient and rely on herself. Okay, so the next card out is suspension. And this is the Hanged Man, basically. Now, with this card, again, I think that she's just starting the journey. So as smart as she possibly, as smart, not as possibly, as smart as she is, she's looking at the other side of the coin. She informs herself on how she informs herself on as many ideas as she possibly can. Even if she doesn't agree with it, she wants to know how those other people, I shouldn't say those other people, how the other side thinks, whether it's conservative, middle of the road, liberal, radical, green. She informs herself on everything, or as much as she possibly can, to make the right decisions. Okay. And she's already, when I get this card, I know that she's already being watched. This is the Four of Pentacles, Arsenal. She's already being watched, being recorded. So she's piqued the interest of somebody. It could be the government, it could be anybody, but she's piqued the interest of somebody. Somebody's interested in her ideas, her radical ideas. Again, I got the Hermit card. She has a lot of cards where she's alone. She's having to be alone with herself. And with the Hermit card again, she had to go inwards in order to find who she truly is, to find the answers that she needs in order for her to move forward. And then the final card is the Star card. What a beautiful card. This is the overall journey. Once she can pull together the things from her past, anything hidden within her, anything that she's hidden, all of the things that her mother taught her when she was growing up, all of the things that she saw, the injustices that she saw when she was growing up, everything that she's seeing now, all of the injustices that she's seeing now. With all of those things and having to go within and bring and embrace everything that she's experienced in her life, the good and the bad, embracing it all in order for her to become the woman who will be a great leader or a great speaker, a great writer, not wider, writer, writer, um, um, will make her the star, the person that she is supposed to be, someone who's going to go down in history. Okay, so this video is kind of long, so I'm gonna put the those cards away, and let me see if maybe I get anything. Let's see if maybe the New Era Elements Tarot has anything to say. Angels, can you show me this radical woman? Okay, the Ace of Air. With this particular card, it means clarity. She has gotten to the point again. Now she is at the point where she has pulled everything together, and she knows how to move forward. She knows how to use all the tools of her life and bringing it to the forefront and speaking out on injustices. And she will be a speaker for the people. So with that, let's see, maybe they'll give another one. So I got the disappointment card. Disappointment. And I don't think that she's a disappointment. I think it's disappointment in what America is supposed to be. And with Donald Trump being in office, it's not an example of what America is supposed to be. Being disappointed in a country that stands for liberty and justice for all. The next card out is repletion. Repletion. So from disappointment to repletion. Okay, let's see if the Gypsy Oracle has anything to say. Angels, can you show me a story on the radical woman that will lead a march? That radical woman. I got the messenger card. Now, it could be that she's going to get a letter or something like that, but I believe this means that she is a messenger. She is going to bring forth a message for the people. Anything else you want to show me regarding the radical woman? The next card we have out is the merchant card. The merchant card. And here you see the merchant is looking out onto the water. So I'm going to take that as her looking to the future, preparing, looking to the future. Can you show me the radical woman? Can you show me the radical woman? Can you show me the radical woman? One more card. Again, we have a letter. So there's some sort of communication that's going to happen. So we have the messenger, a merchant, and a letter. I don't know. Maybe she's getting a letter from overseas. Maybe whatever letter communication is being sent to her is what provokes her to organize, to do organizing. I don't know, it could be anything. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end the read on the radical woman. Mixie Tarot out. I hope you guys are taking care of each other and taking care of your families, okay? God bless.